It's going down. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Recession on deck. BOFA slashes gross domestic production forecast. Sees significant risk of negative growth quarter. It says, with a panicking Biden likely to continue freaking out over soaring inflation, which, I mean, if you're paying attention, you can see how inflation is taking a really tight squeeze on this country, and is doing a real good job of doing so. And Colin Powell every day ordering the Fed chair to do something about those approval rate crushing, surging prices. And that's what happens when there's an inflation. Prices start to rise, and you start to see less food in the markets. In a matter of fact, a week and a half ago, there was complaints going out all over the web because there were a major shortage of food in the markets. As a matter of fact, there were lots of empty food shelves in the grocery stores. Now, let me remind you that food truckers get paid. The government has to fund them, as well as the corporation, to drive across states just to deliver food to particular grocery stores. Now, when inflation rises, it starts to cost more and more money for corporations to fund their truckers to drive out and deliver food. And not just food, merchandise, grains, commodity, you name it. So what happens when corporations have to pay their truckers more? They start laying off people. People start getting laid off. And that's how you get a recession. You see, people don't understand. A recession is a major slowdown in economic activity. And we're seeing it. And the less food trucks there is, the more your food is going to be delayed in getting to your markets, or the less food there's going to be in your markets, the less merchandise there's going to be in your department stores. So I'm going to go ahead and read some of this juicy information, which in turn has cornered Powell to keep jaw-boning markets lower, with threats of even more rate hikes and even more price drops until inflation somehow cracks. How that happens when it is the supply-driven inflation that remains sticky, and which the Fed has no control over, nobody knows yet. We recently joked that market crash will continue until Biden approval rating rises. And I believe these are just, comments from people, That's pretty much all I'm going to read there. Ain't really much else to read. that page. But ultimately, when you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, you start to understand that this is really judgment coming from a higher source, a greater power. That power name is Yahweh, you know, who does things through his son, Yahweh Shai. That's why we say Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Okay? It's Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai that is bringing judgment on America. And you see that the stock markets are not doing so good. You know, stock owners are starting to buy less and less stocks. They're starting not to invest their money in these lower corporations where they can profit from the merchandise that these corporations sell. Right before you know it, these stock marketeers here in America are going to start investing their stocks elsewhere in other countries. And when that happens, there's going to be another stock market crash. Because the stock marketeers are not making enough of a profit from the merchandise here in America that is being sold by corporations. Because, I mean, that's how a stock market works. When a person invests in a stock market, he's investing in the profits of a corporation and the merchandise they sell. And whatever merchandise the corporation sells, the stock marketeer makes that money in return in the form of interest rates. And that is failing. That is failing here in America. The stock marketeers are not making the money that they feel like they should. Stock markets are not like how they used to be in the 1800s. Those days are out the door, which leads me to this. Isaiah 47 verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. America is the virgin daughter of Babylon. Why is the United States the virgin daughter of Babylon? Because this is the only country that has not been touched by any other country on the planet. You see, all these other countries around the world have been attacked. Whether if it's been by sanctions, whether if it's been physically, by drones, stealth bombers, economic hitmans, cities being turned into war zones, protests, riot. You know, like, America has not suffered from sanctions or being bombed by other countries. So this is the virgin daughter of Babylon. Right? It says there is no throne. A throne is a symbol of rulership. Without a throne, there is no rulership. Sit on the ground. That's where peasants sit at. See, the Lord's going to bring this country into a peasant-like state. Whereas, during the late 1700s, going into the early 1800s, into the late 1800s, this country was once looked at as a golden city. Where outsiders of this country once thought the streets of this country was painted with gold, layered with gold. It's no longer being looked at as the golden city. O daughter of the Chaldeans, the modern day Chaldeans today is who? The Illuminati. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. America was called tender and delicate in the late 1700s going into the early 1800s and late 1800s. After that, America started to decline. And America's decline really started with when they decided to send satellites, which we call space junk, up there into the ozone layer of the Earth. Matter of fact, let's get it. Let's get it. Obadiah 1 verse 3. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. Now, are they dwelling in the clefts of the rocks now? Oh, maybe some people of the nation of Edom are living in rocks. But for the most part, the clefts of the rocks is metaphorically speaking of a high habitation. America was once a high habitation, a very costly country to live in. You know, you got some people of the nation of Edom that love living in skyscrapers. You know. But the whole point is that the United States, especially Edom, the nation of Edom, which are so-called white people, they've used to have a habit of, you know, in the 17th and 18th century, they had a habit of looking down on other countries. Oh, especially after what? World War I and World War II, which took place in the 19th century. And World War II started in what, 1926? Ever since these countries learned about America's firepower, how they had atomic bombs like Skinny Boy and Fat Boy, these countries feared America. And guess what? You Americans here in America, you took pride in that. So what did you do? You looked down on these other countries. You looked down upon them. Okay? Whose habitation is high? Whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart. The word heart goes back to the Hebrew word lob, which means your mind. Who shall bring me down to the ground? Right? Well, the answer is the Lord. The Lord is going to bring you proud people of the nation of Edom down to the ground. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And the nest among the stars is metaphorically speaking of what? Those satellites, which America launched up into so-called space. That's where America's decline started, when they launched those satellites up into outer space. So Isaiah 47 verse 2, take the millstones and grind mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. So, America's shame is being shown to the entire world. It could be verse 16, or it could be wrong. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. This is talking about Babylon, which is America. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee. That cup is the cup of slavery. The whole nation of Edom is going into slavery. Why? Because they put us in slavery. Okay? Starting with when the English Dutch mercenaries went over to Europe and certain parts of Western Africa to gather up the Israelites and put them in captivity. A lot of us died on slave ships. Not to mention the Latino tribes, which are also Israelites, the so-called Native Indians, the Panamanians, the Guatemalans, the Uruguayans, the Argentinians, the Panamanians, the Mexicans, the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans. They're all Israelites. And guess what? They all went into slavery too. So, what's going to happen? The cup, which is slavery, is going to be given to you, the nation of Edom. And we're going to have you as slaves in the kingdom of heaven. It says, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. This is shameful spewing right here. Turn a recession on deck. Here it is. The United States is supposed to be the leading role in finances. Well, with a well-built economy, in here we'll be hearing about a recession. With that, I'm gonna say shalom and on to the next one.